mucho más, con los mejores precios, calidad, garantía y el mejor servicio a domicilio. Estamos más cerca de usted, en Bávaro, Avenida España, entre el Centro Médico Punta Cana y Comoma. Teléfonos 809-552-0884 y 552-0717. En Verón, frente a Montilla Motors, Plaza Roque 3, teléfono 809-455-1565.
Papelería Higuayana, en precios, calidad y servicio, la más completa.
Papelería Higuayana, ayer, hoy, mañana y siempre, la más completa.
Every Friday at 7 p.m., Punta Cana Hits presents What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, the #1 English talk show in the area, with the best that the Dominican Republic and the rest of the world have to offer.
Hello, welcome everyone to What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, and I am really excited to be here with you all again. And I have a really special guest. He is a very special person, but also you're going to know him as either probably Mike Barnes or AJ Quartermain or Deacon Sharp or one of his other character names that he probably is not called on he's called more often than his regular name. And our guest tonight is actor, producer, author Sean Kanan, and he is just also, other than anything else, an incredible human. He is kind. He is just one of those people that gives a lot of himself. And I'm really happy to have him here with us tonight, live streamed. And so, yes, I want to welcome Sean to the show. Sean, are you there?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Wait, you told me to put this horizontally.
That's okay. No. You're fine. Don't worry.
Already. Let's see here. How are we doing this? Ooh,
it's okay. Don't worry. It's perfect. You're perfect.
Is it killing you if I do it vertically? Because this seems weird.
Nope. You're perfect.
All right, good. I'm going to do it like that. All right, good.
You're perfect.
Anyway,
How are
so
you?
Great to be here with you.
So let's talk, because I actually got, I don't know if you can see, the copy of the first copy of the book today. So I get the promo copy. It comes out December 3rd, and you wrote the foreword for it. I mean, you are already an author, but I'm so excited about it, and it just arrived in the Dominican Republic today, the proof copy. So I'm able to actually show you to you.
Congratulations. I mean, listen, it's so.
Go ahead.
You got to take a little victory lap for a second. I mean, a lot of people talk about doing things, and you are a doer. And when something comes to fruition, you got to just take the briefest moment to kind of give yourself a little pat in the back before you tilt your head upward to look at the next mountaintop you're going to climb. So congratulations.
Thank you. And you know a lot about being an author. You know a lot about the work and the time and the energy that goes into it, because you have Way of the Cobra, you have Welcome to the, I'm going to say this wrong, Kumite, and now you just did Way of the Cobra Couples.
Way of the Cobra Couples.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say before that, I have my first book was The Modern Gentleman, and then Success Factor X.
Yes, I remember Success Factor X when I was at Forbes event, and she had shown it to everybody, and you were in there. And tell me about what was the one before that one that you said?
The Modern Gentleman.
The Modern Gentleman. What is that about? I don't know that one.
So it's a really great book. It's a hybrid. It is a cookbook, but it has all sorts of chapters interspersed in it about how to be the very best guy that you can be, and also for women to understand how men think. And really, there are a lot of through lines to that book that later some of that mentality permeated into Way of the Cobra. I talk about The Modern Gentleman learns a language, because for me, studying foreign language has been a big part of my life. The Modern Gentleman defends himself, and I talk about how martial arts has been important in my life. I talk about the necessity to, treat every woman with dignity and respect, that it's someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's sister, dating and things like that. So there were all these sort of embryonic ideas and subjects in that book, which later found their way into the Way the Cobra series.
Wow. It's very interesting. Now,
Terrific
did you
book. It
have
really is. I'm
to,
proud of it.
I'm going to have to get it.
Horrendous photo on the cover. I should have listened to my wife, and I just had to be right, and she was right. And so I've got this goofy looking picture of me, and she will never let me live it down. But what's inside the book, I promise you it's good. It's on Amazon.
Good. I'm glad. Now, did you have to include a recipe in the book?
Oh, yeah. It's a cookbook. I mean, I had probably 50 recipes in it. And, when most people write a cookbook with photos, they have a food stylist. Michelle and I, foolishly, although with a lot of fun, decided to cook everything and eat it, and both put on 15 pounds. But this was years ago.
Okay, so it wasn't a shared book. It wasn't like there were other people in the cookbook. Okay, so this is your own personal cookbook. Oh my gosh, I have to get it.
Yeah, I think you'll really like it.
That is great. So, when I reached out to you to write this chat, I was just going to be. I wish I knew then for these young people in this book that wrote chapters. But then when I read what you wrote, I'm like, he has to be the forward. Like, I hope he accepts to be the forward. Because at first I was going to ask you, and then I was like, maybe he thinks.
Well, I do anything for you, and I'm honored. And I think you and I are kindred spirits. We work very hard. We work. We enjoy being successful, but we like to give back, and we like to be authentic and connect with people. And this is a really great way to connect with kids. And at that age, things take on like a force multiplier of importance. When you learn something at that age, when it really affects you. And I wish that someone gave me some of this information. And I also think back on the people that had a profound effect on me when I was that age. It still stays with me to this day. And I was just honored to be given the opportunity to be someone that hopefully can have a positive effect on someone's young mind and their life.
Can you share one of those moments with us that you can recall, like an adult, when you were a young adult or a teenager, that you had that moment that they said something to you that you were just like, it really made an impact, like you're going to make on many young people's lives through what you've said?
I remember when I told my martial arts teacher, I was about 15 years old, that I wanted to be an actor. And my father ran our mid-sized family business, which was a chain of jewelry stores. We had about 52 jewelry stores. And as the only son, he very much wanted me to take it over. And I remember telling my martial arts teacher, my sensei, I don't want to do that. I want to be an actor. And the first thing I remembered was he didn't laugh at me because, you come from a small Midwestern town in Pennsylvania and you say, I'm going to move out to Hollywood and become an actor. I mean, it's a little like saying I'm going to run away and join the circus. Always kind of been that guy. And so right away, it meant the world to me that he didn't laugh at me. And he said, listen, and he was a kind of rough and tumble guy, but in his own way, he articulated, look, you've got to go follow your bliss. You got to figure out what makes you happy and not live your life for your parents or for anyone other than yourself. Now, that doesn't mean it means being selfish, but not selfish in the way that we think, where it's thoughtless and malicious. It's thinking about yourself. What is going to allow you to be the best version of who you are? And I just did a TEDx down in Dallas about 5 weeks ago. And the topic for my TEDx was the journey of unbecoming. And really quickly, what I say is, from the time we're young, society and our parents push us to become a success, to become a winner, to become someone. And I said, what if that blueprint is flawed? What if finding meaningful happiness and true success isn't about becoming, but it's about unbecoming, by reconnecting with your authentic self? And I say, do you remember who you were before you were told who to become? And that really kind of stuck with me. And I decided that's what I wanted to talk about. And, I sort of spent the first 50 years of my life chasing success and trying to become someone. And it certainly wasn't all wasted time, and a lot of good happened from it. But I decided that, this next part of my life, that I'm going to try and shed everything that's not my authentic self and see what that brings. And for me, a big part of that is being involved in service and giving to others, and not focusing on the results of achieving and acquiring, and staying rooted in the process. And I'm a firm believer that there is a great irony in life, which is if you want results, ignore them. Focus on constantly refining the process you use, the habits and the actions you take to achieve success, and success will come.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because I think so many people are, even my students are looking at what job do I want that's going to pay the most? Like, going into it with that thought, I don't think is the right thing. Like, what is it that you love, and how can you hone that in so that then you can then make something? But I think when you start with the money in mind, you end up losing sight, because it's one of those things, like you were just saying, you have to become something. And a lot of times too, with what you were saying on unbecoming, because we end up becoming what society tells us to, or what people think we should be.
Absolutely. I've always found, well, not always, I've found as I've sort of unbecome, that for me at least, the fastest way to achieve success is by helping other people achieve their success, and doing it without a surreptitious or ulterior motive. That's part of it. The other part of it is working as hard as I can, which is part of the process to become invaluable and indispensable. And if you don't worry about the money, and you say, okay, whatever job I have, how can I work to make sure that they can't get along without me? Now, of course, they can get along without you, but it's a mindset. It's what can I do and go beyond so that I'm the guy or girl they think about when it's go time. When their back's against the wall, they know they can call me. And if you can be that person and constantly improve and refine your game, and treat others with compassion and dignity, and be kind, which is different than being nice. Be kind. Kind and nice are very different. You will become a successful human being.
Yeah.
It might not look the way you want it to look, but I really have narrowed it down. People say to me, well, what does it take to be successful? And I've narrowed it down to a couple of things. The first is, we learned it in kindergarten. It's the golden rule. Treat other people, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Very simple. The second is treat people and view the world with compassion. You never know. We've heard this before. You never know what private war someone else is fighting. And I use the analogy of, if we could be arrested for the thoughts that go through our head when we're in line waiting for something, and someone is not moving as quickly as we wish in front of us, like we'd all be locked down in, Florence Supermax, right? And, you see that woman, she's elderly, and she's, getting, she's at the counter of maybe CVS, and she's fumbling around in her purse to write a check. And you don't know if she's deciding, do I have enough money to feed myself, or get my husband his cancer medicine?
Right. And that is very true.
And when you think about that, it puts a different spin on things. The other things are grind, work, be the hardest worker, show up early, leave late, be of service, help others, you know,
Go on the extra mile.
You do that. I think you got about a 99% chance of having a successful life. It might not look anything like what you want it to look like, but it'll be a successful life.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned in the foreword of the book, and you mention it often, about the importance of taking action. And, you know, like you said before, a lot of people say they're going to do something, and then, or they think that, you know, the universe will provide. But I think the important part about that is that you have to take the action. What advice do you give people who are struggling with their self-doubt or with fear, which we know that a lot of times people don't accomplish what they're doing? They don't take action because they're afraid.
I will tell you this. Every single person who is successful has failed again and again and again. I can count failures that I've had over the last year, and you know what? They don't matter much because A, I look at them as teachers, and B, you know, let's look at them financially. You know, a lot of people are really afraid to spend money. You will not become successful in business unless you are willing to take risks and spend money. In the last year, I can tell you 3 things I did where I took risks, spent money, and it didn't pan out. But I learned from it, and it also led me to other things that I did where I did spend money, and there were tremendous successes. Do not be afraid of failure. You know, Michael Jordan, there's a great quote by him where, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, I missed the game-winning point 250 times in my career. I missed da-da-da-da-da, and because of that, I'm successful. You know, as an actor, when I audition, 95 times out of 100, I don't get the job. And if I looked at every single one of those experiences as a failure, I wouldn't have the confidence to set foot in another casting director's office. But it teaches me, it builds me. You know, the steel is forged in the crucible of fire. And if you allow fear of failure to become a paralytic against taking action, it will not only significantly diminish the size of your life, but it will keep you from the huge successes.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail. And especially at the age that we're talking about. 20 years old, listen, you can fail again and again and again for a while. And in fact, you're kind of supposed to, you know, don't be afraid of it.
Absolutely. And I agree that, and the other side of it too is that, you know, a lot of times with fail, you know, I don't know, there's the acronym first attempt in learning, where, I mean, no matter what we do in life,
absolutely,
you learn from it. You're not going to be perfect at everything. And if you are, well, God bless you, but it doesn't happen that way.
I'll tell you, I talk openly that, you know, I struggled with alcohol for a long time, and having used the strategies and the philosophy in my books, Way the Cobra, Welcome to the Kumite, and Way the Cobra Couples, I changed my life completely. But the fact that I had failed for a long time, failed as a person, and knowing what that was like taught me what I don't want. And it taught me that if I ever want the results that I want, and I know I talked about not going after results, but in this case, it's not about money. It's not about a big house. It's not about that. For me in my life now, the results that I want to achieve are the sphere of influence I have and the ability I have to positively influence other people's lives. And you cannot influence other people's lives unless you are living a life that they want to emulate. And I might have thought I was smart, and I might have, you know, done a couple things that made me look like a shiny penny. But the truth of it was, there were many, many things I wasn't doing well. And I don't even think you had to look that hard to realize that you probably didn't want to live my life. And I had some very harsh lessons that I endured. I lost some things that were very important to me. and it taught me. And now, you know, my life, I have everything. And if some of those other big flashy things come back, that'd be great, but I don't need them anymore. And here's the irony, when you don't need them, you're not living in scarcity. Yeah. You're living in abundance. And when you live in abundance, they come to you. They just have things that come to me that, you know, when I was drinking and struggling and I just got angry, couldn't understand, why isn't the universe giving me what I deserve? It was giving me exactly what I deserved. Right. But now that I live in abundance, it just kind of rains on top of me.
Yeah.
True.
And I think that that's what people, you know, don't realize, that when you, like, I love the quote of, what I want for myself, I want for everybody else. And when you're not looking in that idea of scarcity or competition, it truly does come to you. But again, if you're taking the action and you're putting in the work, right? Because that in and of itself is the important part, because you're ultimately putting out a higher vibration.
Absolutely. And for those people that aren't familiar with that, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of law of vibration. You know, we learned in school that opposites attract. Well, that is not true. Only with magnets. Okay. Everything vibrates at the subatomic level, including rocks, including thoughts, including words, including emotions. The highest vibrational emotions are love and compassion and empathy. And the lowest ones are jealousy and anger and all that sort of stuff. And you give off a vibration, and the vibration that you give off, the universe matches. And so you might see somebody walking around who really wants to get a good job and have money and get a house, and they're like, wow, I just can't get that job, and why can't I get it? You're putting out that you're living in scarcity. And when you do that, the universe gives you the very thing you don't want. See, the universe isn't fair. It isn't unfair. It just is. You know, the laws of the universe, of which there's at least 12, they affect all of us, whether you believe in them or not. You know, everyone's heard of the law of, The Secret. And, you know, that's got the law of attraction, because it's got the best publicist. But there's 12 laws, and I urge you to learn all of them, because whether you believe in it or not, they do affect you. And, you know, the universe doesn't conspire against you, and it doesn't really root for you. But when you live your life in a certain way, maintaining your character, giving off a positive vibration, you start to feel like the universe is in your corner. I know I do. Yeah. And when you feel that way, you're putting out that vibration and attracting more of it.
Yes, 100% agree. You can't. It's impossible to deny if you actually practice it, because you can see it. It's there. It's right in front of your face. You said, you put a quote in the book. It says, transform yourself and you can transform the world. What personal transformations have shaped your life? You talked about the, you struggled with alcohol, but what do you feel, in recently that you feel really has helped you to transform your life and make that shift?
Well, I have to, I know you said recently, but the first transformation that I can think about was when I went from a young, scared kid getting bullied all the time to, I don't want to say hardening, I want to say strengthening my spirit, my body, my mind, my soul through martial arts. That was a profound transformation for me. Recently, when I stopped drinking about 4.5 years ago, it had a profound effect on who I am as a person. I think for a really long time, I epitomized the young, angry man, even though I wasn't that young anymore. And somehow a great weight was lifted off me. A tremendous bit of anger seemed to evaporate, and in a way, it freed me up to be a more loving, present, authentic, less selfish person with others. And, living in Hollywood, you're always surrounded by somebody whose career is hotter than yours. They've got more money. And you have to learn that other people's success is not your failure. We are all on our own journey, and you are competing against no one but who you were yesterday. And that's what my book, Welcome to the Kumite, is about. The Kumite is an epic battle against your greatest opponent, which of course is yourself. And how do you defeat that opponent? By emerging every single day as a kinder, wiser, tougher, stronger, smarter, more compassionate human being than you were yesterday. And as long as I'm consistently engaged in that process, I don't worry about the results. And my life has changed in ways that I really couldn't have even fathomed.
Let's go back to when you were talking about how, as a young person, you were transformed. We had talked about this in a previous interview, but I think it's really important because so many young people today struggle, whether it's they're being bullied, whether it's, self-doubt, whether it's depression, whether it's all these other things. And you found for you what worked and what helped you through that was martial arts. And I do remember one of the things you said was, I wish I had discovered it sooner.
Right.
And maybe not martial arts isn't for everybody, but what were those key things, whether they do martial arts or not, that you felt helped you to build?
Am I allowed to swear on the show?
Sure, go right ahead.
Listen, guys, stop giving a shit what other people think. Who gives a shit? Let me tell you something. Reputation is what other people say about us, and it is out of our control. Yes. Character is what we know to be true about who we are at our core. Character is how you conduct yourself when no one else is looking, and how you treat others when there's nothing to be gained by it. And I promise you, if you concentrate on the process of maintaining your character, you don't have to worry about what other people think. And I know, especially at your age, a lot of people at my age still, we worry so much about what other people think. And it's a swirl. And by swirl, it's a dog chasing its tail. And you'll never catch it. Okay? Yeah. But if you can get over the worry of what other people think, you disempower all the haters, because people can sense when you care what they think. And when they do, and if they've got nefarious or low vibrational intentions, they will use that. Okay? Here's the bottom line. Everybody is so involved in their own life that, with few exceptions, most people don't give a shit about your life. Sure, people are nice, they're polite, they're going to ask how you are, and many of them genuinely care, but they're the stars of their own movie. You're a supporting actor at best. Okay? So by worrying so much what other people think, you're elevating, you're elevating their opinion when really they're not giving you that much thought. And once you learn that, boy, it takes so much pressure off you. It's changed me as an actor. Listen, I go and I stay in the process. I do my audition, and I don't concentrate on, am I getting the job? That's out of my control. And when you learn to do that, wow, is it empowering. That's one thing that's really, really important. And, understand that friends on social media aren't friends. Those aren't real friends. Try and connect with people authentically, not digitally, and understand that, you got one go around in this lifetime. There's no dress rehearsal. Right. This is it. And it's okay to make mistakes. People will come into your life and out of your life. And I will tell you this, as you become more successful, as you become more evolved, your circle of friends will become smaller, because it's like a pyramid. I know I'm mixing metaphors here with a circle and pyramid, but when you're 20 years old, you can be friends with lots and lots of people, because you're all trying to figure out who you are and whatever. But as you learn who you are, the number of people that you want to share your time with becomes smaller and smaller, because your wants and needs for the people you spend time with become more specific, ultimately for most people culminating in a life partner. You know, for me, I mean, it kind of takes an act of Congress for me to go do anything other than loving to be with my wife. And, you know, I guess I'm kind of a homebody. I mean, I do a lot of stuff and I travel, but, you know, if I kind of had my way, I'm perfectly happy, you know, spending a weekend, you know, binge watching some stuff and spending time with her and going out for a nice dinner, something like that. So I don't need to be around a lot of people. And you'll find that that's not a quality of someone who's not successful or not socially evolved. You'll find the most socially evolved people and successful people have a very small, tight-knit core. They have lots of acquaintances. And my mother said something really profound. I never understood it for a long while. For a long time I did. She said, different friends for different things. And it's a really profound thing, you know? And if you can figure that out, that's a good piece of information.
That's true. It is really true. Interesting. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come right back, and we will be back with What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio and continue with Sean Kanan. Don't go anywhere.
Every Friday at 7 p.m., Punta Cana Hits presents What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, the #1 English talk show in the area, with the best that the Dominican Republic and the rest of the world have to offer.
Porque compro de todo y me sale más barato. Me va mejor.
Porque me da para la medicina y me sobra para la comida. Me va mejor.
Porque todo está más limpio. Me va mejor.
Porque todo está más fresco. Me va mejor.
Porque veo más variedad. Me va mejor.
Porque me brinda la ayuda que necesito. Me va mejor.
Porque hago mis compras más rápido. Me va mejor.
¿Para qué quieres más? Si aquí te va mejor.
En salud, a mí me va mejor.
Atención camioneros y empresas de vehículos pesados. Ángel Ramírez Truck Parts tiene todo tipo de repuestos a su alcance. Fabricación de mangueras hidráulicas, baterías, lubricantes, accesorios y un extenso inventario para cubrir las necesidades de su unidad de transporte. Ángel Ramírez Truck Parts, Avenida Barceló, Plaza Canatown, cerca del cruce del Ayuntamiento de Verón. 809-455-3265 y 829-928-0498. Ángel Ramírez Truck Parts.
Are you ready to dream, to reach for more, with stories that open every door? What's up? Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, right here for you. Where passion meets success, inspiring dreams come true. From entrepreneurs to hidden gems, each story shows what life can lend. Tune into 90.3, feel the vibe, get inspired too. What's up, Punta Cana, bringing dreams to you. Are you ready to dream, to reach for more, with stories that open every door? What's up, Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, right here for you. Where passion meets success, inspiring dreams come true. From entrepreneurs to hidden gems, each story shows what life can lend. Tune into 90.3, feel the vibe, get inspired too. What's up, Punta Cana, bringing dreams to you. Entrepreneurs to hidden gems, each story shows what life can lend. Tune into 90.3, feel the vibe, get inspired too. What's up, Punta Cana, bringing dreams to you.
Every Friday at 7 p.m., Punta Cana Hits presents What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, the #1 English talk show in the area, with the best that the Dominican Republic and the rest of the world have to offer.
Okay. Welcome back to What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio. And I have here with me live this evening, Sean Kanan. I'm really excited. We met a few years ago and he was doing his book signing. I had interviewed him on Instagram. And since then, he's just been the kindest, nicest person. So when he's talking about that he really, truly looks to give and help other people, like it's no joke. He truly is his authentic self, and it's really uncommon to find that because in the world in general, let alone for someone who is also an actor in Hollywood and things to that effect. But as a person, he is exactly what he talks about, and so we have him back here, and I want to ask him about, I know that everybody, obviously, you just came off of Cobra Kai, but you worked and you were close to a lot of young people at this time. And my question is, what did you find that you were able to offer them as a mentor, as someone who has been where they are now, in hopes that maybe they will learn a little something from what you experienced and what you went through, because I think that that's really important.
You know, it's funny. While I was in Atlanta filming, I remember that Griffin Santipietro, who played Danny LaRusso's son, was applying for colleges. And I also just got done doing Dallas Young has a Twitch show. He plays Kenny, and he just turned 18. And so anyway, I said, you know, what are you guys going to go study? What are you doing? And Dallas is going to study business. And I said, you know, this is so smart that you do this, because you have to understand something, that if you want to be successful in the entertainment world, it's the nexus between art and commerce. And you need to understand, you know, you can be a really talented actor, but if you don't have an understanding of how the business works, you can have a lot of frustration and eventually a lot of heartbreak if you become successful. And I think it's whether you choose to study business or stay in the acting game. I told him, I said, it's really smart that you guys have experienced this international success and you're not just allowing it to go to your head and coasting on it, but you're putting more tools in your toolbox. And I said, that is what a winner does, you know? And I said, you know, I went to UCLA, my degree's in political science. And right around the time I was doing Karate Kid 3, I was just about done with college, but I kind of could have let it go and not finished it because I was sort of not thinking clearly at that point. And my parents were like, absolutely not. And they pushed me to finish it. And it was one of the best decisions ever. And so I just kind of encouraged them to be well-rounded, meaning don't just rely on the acting. Now, I've been somebody, my strategy's been not having a plan B. Okay. I always knew that I was going to be in acting, but I also diversify a lot of what I do now. So I've got not only different revenue streams, but different interests and things like that. But at that age, you know, I encourage people to work as hard as they can as an actor, but acquire other skills that should they decide ultimately that their life's path is not to be an actor, that the only thing that they're equipped to do is to teach an acting class. You know what I mean? To be someone that didn't make it and teach an acting class. And that's not a place you want to be.
Yeah. And I think that that's really an important part of it because you have to have, I mean, in general, anybody, whether you're going to be a teacher or whatever, or an actor, doctor, having those multiple skills to diversify yourself, because you never know when they're going to come in handy. I mean, you can be an actor, but then you're a producer, and then you could be a director, and then there's multiple different things that can come into play there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, wow, maybe I would have really liked to have gone to Juilliard or the Royal Academy or something like that and studied acting, but I can't tell you how many times my knowledge of politics and political structure and things like that from my political science degree has helped me as an actor. As an actor, you want to try and acquire as many different skills and areas of knowledge as possible, because you never know what you're going to be asked to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to ask you, because I can't see you. Is your camera on really quick?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I didn't want to interrupt you while you were in the middle of talking.
It is.
There.
So that whole time I was talking, no one could see me?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I want you to, when you were there in doing all of these things, what is your routine? Like, you're on set, you wake up in the morning, you have to do your schedule. What is it that gets you going for the beginning of the day?
I've got so many exciting, interesting things that I'm involved in, and I'm passionate about all of them. I'm currently the co-showrunner of a new television show, and it's new and it's exciting, and it's that's great. And we're promoting our new book together, which allows me to do that with my wife. And I love my coaching clients. I love working with my coaching clients and my speaking engagements. And I maintain a level of passion with whatever I do. I mean, next year's going to be my 25th year from when I started The Bold and the Beautiful. And I'm every bit as passionate about, when I show up and go into the studio and hit the stage as I was when I was, when I was 25 years younger.
Mm. Yeah, that's important. Just to continuously love what you do. And you and your wife, you co-wrote, and you guys are such an amazing couple, because you truly can see the love, between you two, and the fact that you just co-wrote Way of the Cobra, the couples edition. How is it different in the couples edition and working it in through a relationship, your ideology of Cobra, with, working on yourself, but then working on it with your significant other?
Well, look, I think anytime you talk about relationships, it's beneficial to have two perspectives, because a relationship is two people, unless, of course, Utah. So, I think it would be, I don't know. I think it would be short-sighted and almost arrogant to not offer an opinion that, I love that Michelle doesn't always agree with me in the book, and I like that. And, we see, I even say in the book, we see many, many things the same way, and some we don't. And because we see them through the refracted prisms of our experiences in life. That's how everybody sees everything. So you're not always going to see something exactly the same as someone else. The very act of writing the book together was cathartic, and, we both grew from it. And I recognized the inherent pitfalls of writing a book about relationships and discussing our marriage, because first of all, I recognized that it could potentially put it under a microscope, and would it survive the scrutiny of others? But as I said, I don't really care what other people think, because I know, who I am, who Michelle is, and what our marriage is. But I do know that the creative process sometimes is a function of friction rather than absorption. And sometimes in the quest for the best idea winning, there's some yelling. Michelle and I call it a bench clear. About once a month, we have a good bench clearing yell fest, and we're both pissed off for about 15 minutes, and then we because we don't hold it in.
Right.
I think when you hold stuff in is when it gets toxic. Because it foments into resentment.
Yeah. And that in and of itself is healthy. I think, I mean, you're not always going to see eye to eye with your significant other, with your best friend, with your coworker, with whatever. And
Nope. You got to realize though, especially when you're married, but also, just in a relationship that, you got to get over the idea, and it's hard, and especially hard for people that are competitive, which I can be very competitive. It's not about winning. It's about finding a solution because you both want the same thing, which is to be in a loving, fulfilling relationship that feeds both of your souls. And Michelle has this term she taught me. It's called being dead right. And it means you can be right, but when you're dead right, you're standing in a field that has been scorched and everybody's been killed and all the crops are withered. And there you are, you won, you're right, but you're alone.
Oh, that's a really good analogy.
Right. And it's true because I had a period of my life when, I would not with Michelle so much, but when I was younger, I did not like to not win. And it didn't always bring out my finer angels. And now, I look at it like when we have a disagreement, it's like, I might get angry or pissed off or not like something she did or something that I did she doesn't like, but it's not coming up from a place of, I have to try and, assert my will on you emotionally so that you know who's boss or who's right. It's like, all right, look, how do we figure this out? And for every one of those things that you overcome when you're mad, you get stronger. And there's a difference between mad and angry. Everyone gets mad, mad is an ephemeral, temporary feeling that's usually a response to an external stimuli. Angry is a cancerous, toxic, pervasive feeling that not only hurts others, but it hurts you. And so, I talked about when I quit drinking, a lot of my anger went away. And, if any of the people watching this have a sense of anger in their life, work to unbecome. Because if you can unbecome and get rid of that anger, find the source of it and work through it, it's like you've taken shackles off. You've taken these chains off. And it will allow you to become who you really are meant to be.
If someone's really struggling through that kind of anger, what would be that first step to unbecome?
I don't want to paint with such a wide brush and say that everybody who's angry, that the genesis of that anger, the source of it is the same, because there are people who have endured horrible, awful things. Okay. And I'll be honest, I didn't have that in my life. So I don't have a lot of experience with any kind of abuse like that or anything. All I can tell you is it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And a lot of the anger comes from feeling disempowered. As a child, your power was taken away. You didn't have any power. And that feeling of not being able to have a voice and being subjugated by someone or something else is hurtful and frustrating and humiliating. And it manifests in anger. And I tell you, there's a great scene in Good Will Hunting. I don't know if you remember the movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
And it's just, it makes me well up every time I think of it, where, Matt Damon was abused and Robin Williams is his therapist. And Matt Damon's recounting this horrific abuse that he went under, but he's kind of glossing over it, saying, it's no big deal. And Robin Williams just kept repeating, it's not your fault.
Yes. Just,
caused him to have this cathartic breakdown where it changed his life.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that if you're struggling with something like that, and I'm not diminishing it at all, but it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And no one else is carrying that around but you. I promise you, the people that hurt you aren't thinking about it. why let them continue to victimize you?
Mm-hmm.
You are not a victim. Okay, you may have been a victim in the moment that something happened to you, but the choice to continue being a victim, to perpetuate it, is just that. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm. Or allowing them to steal your joy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that that's one of the things that a lot of times people say, he did this or she did that. And I'm not talking about like severe traumatic experiences. But I'm also talking about like even young people today. Well, he said this or she said that or he did this and it's like, well, you can either allow them to steal your joy and your power, or, you can just say that they can't do
really
it
does
if you don't allow it.
Always come down to looking at your, I don't know if culpability is the right, what is your role in what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And look, maybe the Hindus and the Buddhists say that no matter what happened to you, you have a responsibility for it. I don't know that I necessarily agree that when a child is caused by abuse, that they somehow have a role in it. But I think that as adults and young adults, if there's something going on in your life that is not working for you, whatever it is, look at yourself first. Stop looking outward. Stop looking outward.
Mm-hmm.
Look at yourself. Transform yourself, and you will transform the world. Yeah.
And it's exactly, that brings us right back to the quote. And I think also an understanding, and this transitions into one of the questions as we wind down here, is like about how you say that you are enough. What does that mean?
It's like this Zen riddle. How did the ship get in the bottle? It was always there. Everything you need to live the life that you want already exists within you. You either have to reconnect with it, unbecoming. You have to discover it, but it's there. And once you know that, you don't need to push. You don't need to show the world who you've become. And you know that you're enough. You're enough. And when you know that you're enough, the world will come to you, because it exudes a confidence and a calm and a power that is attractive to everybody.
Yeah. I think that the sooner people realize that they're enough, the better that everything is going to get.
Yeah. And part of that comes from not comparing yourself to other people. Yes.
Yes. 100%.
I do a lot of things really well, but boy, there's some things that I just can't grasp. I can study Mandarin and Chinese, and people are like, how do you do that? And it almost killed me making it through geometry. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't be good at everything.
Exactly.
And, don't worry about it. Lean into the things that you're good at. Work on the things that need work, but accentuate the positive. Okay. And understand that you're not going to be good at everything. And that's okay. That's okay. I wish that I was a great dancer. I see people dancing on, I know it sounds silly, right? I mean, I did Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
And I lasted for 9 weeks. But I mean, I watch these people on TikTok, and I'm like, man, I wish I could move like that.
Me too.
And,
Me too.
I just, not so much, and that's okay, because there's someone out there watching me do a scene going, man, I wish I could make people feel something the way this guy acts. And I promise each and every one of you has a God-given, let me back up a second. I believe, and this is not me, I heard this somewhere. I believe with all of my heart that the secret to life is discovering what that special gift you have inside of yourself that you were endowed with by the Creator. That's the secret to life. I believe the meaning to life is when you can take that gift and share it with the world and make it a better place.
My gosh, That is literally the mission of the school and the foundation. Like right there is helping young people find their God-given talent. And you just said it right there. You just said
how
it
old are the kids at the school?
My kids at the school are from first grade to 12th grade. These kids that are in the book here, they are from all over the world. And when I'm in LA next week, I'm going to give you your own copy. So hopefully you will we'll meet up again and with Michelle but they are just, so these ones, they're high school kids, but they're just doing great things in this world. They're trying to be that positive light in social media, just like what you're talking about. And so they're just incredible. Some of them, that I have in the school are struggling, but then you have other ones that with hopefully books like this, they'll be able to see other young people making a big difference and hopefully using their voice then to make a positive change in the world as well.
Yeah, it really is the pay it forward concept.
Yes. So I just want to thank you because we're running out of time here because we're live. And my Franklin over here, he was in Rome. He lived in Rome for 10 years on the radio there. And so I told him that you were that you spoke Italian. He speaks Italian. Say hello, Franklin.
Buonasera ragazzi, come state? Tutto a posto?
A Roma, dove hai abitato?
A Roma ho vissuto all'Eur e poi mi sono trasferito a San Giovanni.
A San Giovanni?
A San Giovanni, sì. Via delle Etruschi, mi ricordo ancora, la zona. Via delle Etruschi 6.
Vicino a Ponte Milvio. Via Flaminio.
Flaminio, da quale parte?
Scusami, via Flaminia.
Via di Tortreteste, da quale parte? E poi mi sono trasferito a Tortreteste vicino alla Casilina, Prenestina, da quale parte?
Ah, ok.
Vicino al raccordo anulare.
Manchi Roma?
Come?
Do you miss Rome?
Ti manchi Roma?
Mi manca,
Roma?
sì. Già sono passati già 17 anni che sono qua. Mi sono trasferito da là.
Mia moglie e io ci siamo sposati fuori Napoli. Quasi un mese fa abbiamo comprato un appartamento a Viterbo, a 45
bello.
Minuti nord da Roma.
Sì, io lavoravo per una stazione di radio di Viterbo, mi ricordo, sì, perché io avevo un programma che era trasmesso in 36 stazioni di radio di tutta Italia, nord e sud, in molte parti di Roma.
Very cool. Wow.
E a Viterbo mi ricordo che c'era una trasmissione, sì, Viterbo, sì, certo.
Ma tu hai fatto Bailando con le Stelle?
Ballando con le Stelle.
Ballando con le Stelle con
Milli Calucci, sì.
Grande Mille.
Sì, lei faceva questo da molti anni. Quando l'hai fatto tu?
Quasi 15 anni fa.
Certo, mi ricordo, sì, Milli Callucci, sì. È una bella donna e quando io sono arrivato nel 1996 in Italia, mi ricordo che quella donna mi trasmetteva quella gioia, quella bellezza, eleganza, la sua cultura, era molto... è sempre una stella della televisione italiana. Lei c'era in
una bella esperienza.
Sì, in quei tempo c'era anche Pippo Baudo che faceva un programma con lei. Sì. Paolo Bonelli, mi ricordo.
Piaceva molto Striscia la notizia.
Strizza la notizia, bello. Sì, con le ballerine lì, bello. Sì.
È molto divertente.
Poi un presentatore che sempre mi è piaciuto era quello che mi ispirava all'Italia, mi ha ispirato molto alla comunicazione, è stato Fiorello. Fiorello
grande.
È un grande,
quando lui ha fatto Talented Mr. Ripley.
Sì, è un grande. Amo Fiorello, sì.
Ok, guys.
Così puoi invitare a lui
Allora, hai un'invitazione, mi piacerebbe moltissimo vederti qua nella Repubblica Dominicana, a Punta Cana.
Che figo,
Sarà un nostro ospite per farti vedere tutta questa bella zona. Puoi venire 3-4 giorni, sei un nostro ospite.
Questa è una bella offerta. Volevo parlare con Christy, perché forse possiamo mettere qualcosa insieme.
Bello.
Okay, you guys.
All right, honey. I will see you next week. Hopefully, I will call you and let you know when I'm going to be there, and hopefully we can figure out time to
love that.
together.
Dame un squillo, okay?
All right. Ciao, ciao.
All right, bye,
Bye, everybody.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And thank you, everyone, for listening to What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio. Until next time, bye-bye.
Every Friday at 7 p.m., Punta Cana Hits presents What's Up Punta Cana with Christy Maggio, the #1 English talk show in the area, with the best that the Dominican Republic and the rest of the world have to offer.
El mejor estudio audiovisual del este es Punta Cana Hits 90.3 FM, donde la frecuencia y la calidad se encuentran. Punta Cana Hits, lo mejor está aquí. Sintoniza y conéctate, no te lo puedes perder. Talk Show Bávaro, Trucamelo Radio, Good Morning Bávaro, sonido urbano, somos barrio. Perros Verdes, Mario Fama y Bozo, Punta Cana, Club Sabroso, programas que mueve la audiencia, no engaña. Punta Cana Hits 90.3, en la radio, en la web, síguenos a donde estés. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok y YouTube, somos los líderes en cada esquina, en cada club. Punta Cana Hits, conéctate, vive por ti. 90.3, los más activos en las redes y en tu radio, sí.